Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is. I am your host, Cody Kelly. Look, I appreciate all my guests and I appreciate my audience. You who are out there, you have been amazing through this whole run. We've been doing the live space for over a year now. We've been doing the podcasting for, I want to say 3 or 4 years now. You guys have truly been amazing. But if you want to see amazing content and connect with amazing leaders like I have on today, you know what you got to do. You got to follow me on Instagram at CVMK33. And you got to follow me on the best platform who should be sponsoring this, YouTube, at CV Space K, where all great content I heard. You can hear it on Anchor, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, whatever your podcast preference is. We are there. I have a great episode entitled Problems with Being a Creative. So I invited an amazing creative, an amazing influencer in the space, Amarachi. She's going to tell us who she is, what she does, and we're going to get into it. And with that being said, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, Cody, thank you for inviting me on the show today. I'm doing great. Like you said, I am a creative. Like, I live for creative dreams. So just being able to talk about it with you tonight, I'm like, yeah, we need to get into it, because a lot of people don't really know what's really going on in this space. They don't know. So I'm feeling great, feeling good. I'm Amarachi. I'm a model, host, journalist. I have a podcast as well. I've worked for many companies, and a creative with credits. I'll just say that.
With credits. She has a resume. She's not just out there taking Instagram photos and making their own videos. She's a creative with credits.
Yeah, so you will just make sure that part is heard, because sometimes it's like, so you doing all that too? Like, yeah, but I'm working.
So yeah, but I'm getting actually paid to be doing what I do. I understand. So with that being said, so Amarachi, how a lot of people, they get into this space, by something they've seen or a vision or an aspiration, and they become a creative. And a creative can mean a plethora of things. It doesn't have a true definition. It's like you have this talent that you allow it to manifest in so many different avenues, right? That's I think the best way to define it. But there's really no logical path, right? In it, right? So first of all, let's start there. Okay. How did you get into the creative space? And then the follow-up is, you've been in this space now. Yes. What are the do's and the don'ts?
Okay, so so let's break down the first part of the question, Cody, because that's real. How do you get in the creative space? First of all, it needs to be in your heart, because creatives is something that's within people. Some people are A brain, some people are B brain, some people are serious intellect, some people are not. I'm not, never have been. I realized that from my youth. You know what I mean? So from my youth, something about just artsy things tickled me. Everything else, no. So that's how you should be going in that direction. But then you're like, okay, so what's the formal way of doing that? Like, is there education for that? Of course, there's classes, dancing, acting, singing. But I come from a small town. Like, is that going anywhere? You know what I mean? So You get into honing the things that you like. And, if you're blessed enough to have family or parents that support your visions early in life, even better. But it's something that's ingrained in you. And I feel like there is education to be able to become a creative, but if it's not in your heart, you're not going to be good at it. It's going to be just something that you're doing, like any job. You know what I mean? I actually, I like to tell the story. Before I switched to journalism, I was going to nursing school. I don't know why. I don't even know science. Like, I was just in there like, I don't even know math. Like, I'm in there because my Nigerian parents told me I need to be in there. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
In my heart. So, when I started failing out of those classes, I'm like, okay, rewind, arts. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear it because I'm not even doing well in what I've been pushed forward. With that being said, what was the second part of the question, Cody? Because
what are the do's and don'ts? And what I mean by that, like you mentioned, you went to nursing school because you're Nigerian family. You tried nursing school because basically of your upbringing, right? The culture that you grew up in, and sometimes I won't say pressure, but I would say influence of trying to live up to other people's standards. What gave you the confidence to break away and be like, the nursing thing is not for me, I'm better at this?
You know what? I think one day I just told myself, I got to do what works for me, and sometimes you get to that point. Some people never get to that point, but in order to be happy within yourself, you have to pursue what makes you happy at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. At some point, either you're going to regret that you didn't take those strides or make those moves, or you're just going to do them. And like failing out of those classes, going, not even wanting to go, not understanding the book work or the classwork. I'm like, why am I even here? Am I even going to be a good nurse? I'm going to be making all the people laugh, but I'm not going to be able to help them. I'll be here telling jokes. They on the sick bed. What medicine do you need to give them? I don't know, So one day I just said, you know what, Mom, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I've just been doing that ever since. Now, it has been a struggle, man. Some things so do's or don'ts. First of all, your name is very important. Like, you don't want to build a bad resume in the creative space because it's so small and everyone knows everyone, and depending on the niche you're in, you know what I mean? It's not too many large niches of creatives, even if it's drawing or illustration or musicians or actors, singers. How many are really working in the space where you want to go? So you always want to make sure you're on the up and up and people have good things to say about you. And, sometimes things can get fumbled in the mud, but overall, a pleasure to work with. That's important. People don't even know that. Oh, she's very easy to deal with. He's very easy to deal with. Oh, let me give you a referral for this person. That is a do a do or don't. Having a good name is a do. And just making sure you're always on the up and up and being consistent with your content and with your goals, even if it's one step a day.
Right.
It's important, Cody. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I think you're in the creative space, obviously, and
I am. I will say consistency is huge.
Yep.
Unfortunately, how you enter is how they always remember you. Exactly. And that could be good or bad, especially when you're trying to create a different traffic flow toward a different channel. The other thing is, like you said, reputation is everything. One of the things I always try to be nice and courteous and responsible, and I play by the rules that are given to me, right? If I'm on somebody else's show, I only go as far as they allow me to go. Right? You know what I'm saying? I always stay within the parameters that are set because it's not mine, right? Like, and I think when you have that good reputation, people want to click. People want to just gravitate and work with you because there's no confrontation, there's no negative energy, right? When you become a negative person and that name kind of gets out, like you don't want to work with them. That's a death sentence, right? So. I think focusing on the positive vibe and always kind of being available, I had to really be open to be open. I've had guests on that normally I guess I would not have considered, but what it does is when you allow yourself to be open, you don't place yourself or you don't get what I would say imprisoned by this box. Because everybody tries to put you in a box. Like, well, what is this? What does this mean for me? Right? Now I got to interpret it, right? And when you're just kind of free flowing, yet still having a strategy, I think it just makes for better content, better conversation. So, I've learned as far as some do's and don'ts. The other thing is you can't do it for the numbers. I think that's the biggest thing, because you will have seasons. It's like, oh man, you become what I would call a big fish in a small pond, and people getting you likes on Instagram and watching your videos, and then you'll have droughts.
Yeah.
You'll have like, oh, that didn't, nobody saw that video, and obviously people watch, but the journey of it. When tell us, how long does it take until you start getting traction? And I don't mean revenue.
Right.
Revenue and traction are the same thing. I mean, like, until somebody starts saying like, hey, I like what you do, keep on doing it.
You know what? That's a good question. And it varies from time to time. I mean, it varies from person to person. You might be that lucky person that overnight success, which there is no overnight success, because, we've been working. I've been working for 15 years, like chugging at my goals and dreams and still chugging at them. You know what I mean? I've had made some waves and made some way, but I still got a long way to go. And it's been 15 years. Whereas my friend who went to medical school is practicing, you know what I mean? And going on the level that they've always aspired to. We're still working. So it's like, it's no telling. It's favor, it's prayer, it's hard work, grind. There's no telling, especially in the creative space, because everybody wants to be in the creative space. But it's those who like work the hardest and stay the longest and don't give up. Like you said, the consistency, that portion of this whole thing is like the main T. Being consistent and keeping up and being persistent. You might be doing it for 20 years, 30 years, a year. Some people get on overnight, like I said, but there's no telling. Cody, that's an open-ended question.
That is an open-ended question.
Yeah, each person is going to have their own timeline.
That's true. Have you ever dealt with the emotional lows of it all? When we're talking about consistency and persistency, which is the essence of being persistent.
Right.
You deal with the ebbs and flows. You deal with the human experience. There'll be days you're motivated. You've listened to TD Jakes and Eric Thomas and Stephen Furtick, and you're on fire. And then there's days where you're like, I'm about to quit this. There's days you're like, if I make it past lunch, it'll be a blessing. So how do you, in those low moments, right? Because I think low moments and high moments, they both have their own
dealing. They have their own season.
Yes, they do. How do you deal with in the low moments to not cave in and implode?
Yep, that's tough. And it's hard not to give up, because I've had low moments of more than a month, low moments of where 6 months I got a job, you know what I mean? And just try to put my visions in the background for the time being, because the situation I was in, or, that you find yourself in, you're like, I have to do something else for now, because that's not really picking up the traction that I'm looking for. So when you're in that moment, man, honestly, you just have to ride it out, pray, and ride it out until that feeling leaves you. Or, I don't want to call it depression, but sometimes it's like a depressive state. It will go away, because if something's in your heart and embedded in you, it's going to pop right back up. It doesn't matter. Just like bad habits. If that's your habit, you're probably going to be that way. If that's your character, you're probably going to be that way. Even if you change for 2 weeks, you're going to revert back to that person you were, because you haven't been changed from the inside. So if that passion never leaves you, even if you're in a bad place in your life or in your mental space, it's going to come back. So I just ride it out. I know that now. I ride it out. And then people will be like, oh, you're not working, you're not doing anything, and I'll be like, oh, no, I'm always working. I'm never not working, even if you don't see me, because I know that I'm going to be back. You know what I mean? So it's something that you have to deal with in your own time. And like a lot of people get lost in it. They give up. I know a lot of people, I live in LA, that have went home, that aren't even here anymore, that I started with. They're just like, I just can't deal with that anymore. So you just gonna give up? Not that you have to give up, but you can do it from home.
Yeah.
But it's like aren't you gonna have that zeal again and that pull to come back to your calling? But yeah, Cody, it's a strange thing. But how do you deal with your ebbs and lows and flows?
So I'm mastering it. And what I mean by that, I think I'm trying to figure out what triggers me. I deal with it, like you said, through prayer. Faith is a huge part of my journey and my experience. At the same time, I'm human and I feel what every human being feels.
Yeah.
When everything is clicking, then it's like, yes, but then I deal with the gravity and the responsibility of success.
Right.
When things aren't clicking, then I deal with the fear and the insecurity. Did I lose something? Do I still have it? Can I still do this? Has my season passed? Right? Like all these questions that are constantly circulating through my mind, because we all have to fight the inner self. And that's what we're really dealing with, is that inner person that is detrimental to your progress. And it's really you. Like it's yourself. That's the first line of defense, or the first challenge, really.
And you have to be in a good space. And that brings me to a point about the people around you and the energy around you, because that can also take you off the course and take your mental down into a place where you won't even be able to dig out. It's like your circle is important. They support you. They tell you, oh man, no, you got this. You still got it. No, you hot. You can do this. No, you're that. Oh, I am. Versus somebody being like, yeah, you was a little old. Let it go. Oh, you've been trying for a long time. So, I've had friends tell me, oh, you've been doing this for a long time. You still talking about the same thing from high school. I'm on a show. These are things that work. That doesn't matter. But so the circle around you also matters with your mental striving and your mental space.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I will say the circle is everything. I've been blessed to have a great circle, a great support system, particularly from my wife. But you still, I think even beyond your circle, sometimes you wonder, I don't know, like sometimes it's not the validation that you seek from your circle. Yeah. It's that, because that they love you, and you know what I'm saying? Because you know that they genuinely care and they love you and they're dedicated to you. Yeah. There's always going to be a softening, right? Yeah. Where you kind of need what I would call an enemy's validation, or an outside, I need somebody who don't like me for real to say that you're doing your thing, because now I know, I know, right? Because if your mama tell you, it's like, oh, thanks, Mom. Right. But when the haters say, oh, okay, yeah, then I'm on. Yeah. I'm on today. Right. So it's that constant kind of challenge. And I think it stems from, what's crazy is that as we age, and this is something I'm finding out for myself, it's not that you're no longer young, or you're no longer, you can't be productive or do. Yeah. You just wonder in the back of your head, has my season passed? You almost wonder, is it too late? Yeah. And I think the biggest part, or one of the biggest challenges of being a creative, is that, and I've heard even Kev on stage say this. He says he always feels like he'll get to a point that he's no longer funny. We all deal with that. Was this my greatest work? Was this my last thing? You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. Yeah, man. Has my season passed? That's actually a question that, like you said, we as creators always have to battle. And you're a man, so you have even more time than a woman, a Black woman. You do, because think about it. What are they trying to see when they picture up and coming or a rising star and so what? She not about to be 50, 40, 35, you even kind of pushing it, but they might fool with you, but you can be a 60-year-old gentleman and still be Michael and Strahan and, so it does have has my season pass is a question that I think a lot of people battle with, and that might be why a lot of people just give up. You know what? I'm just going to focus on family and just because it's not panning out right now. So yeah, at what point, like you said, when Kevin said, is he going to be funny? That's a good question. Are they always going to think you funny? I mean, he is funny. We think he's funny, but like you said, we all have those insecurities. Like, dang, what can I do next? How can I top that? Oh, the numbers. Oh, it's tough, man. It's not an occupation for the weak. Like you cannot.
No.
It's
not. It's not. You got it. There's gonna be some nights. I will say, man, being a creative, because we all hit these kind of creative blocks. So I said this time last year, I was cranking out live episodes, 2, 3, 4 times a week. I was like, basically, I always joke and say I own Facebook Live at the nighttime, right? So like, and I started getting really, really good. And I had some flops. I had some technical difficulties. Some guests ghosted and whatnot. All the stuff that everybody else goes through. But I was so on fire, right? Like internally, just on fire. But I got burnt out, and by the end of the year, I didn't want to do another episode. I didn't want to carry the weight. I didn't want to have to think through another line of questioning, because you can only contain that flow for so long before it becomes counteractive, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true. So how did you get out of that slump?
So I took a step back.
Okay.
I stopped doing the live thing. Obviously anybody seeing this is pre-recorded, right? So I had to get into a positive mental space. I think I was seeing too much, dealing with too much. It was right after with the George Floyd incident and all that. It was just too much coming at me. And I needed a reset. I needed time to kind of rethink what my purpose was. And I started to do things for what I call purpose-driven activities instead of just chasing, right? Like I rather it take me longer and I build something sustainable than I get big and then in 2 years, nobody knows, right? So I started focusing more on the processes and connecting with great leaders and influencers like yourself, and really building authentic relationships and strategy and coaches that can help me think through it, right? And process all of this. And then, it started to come around again. Then I started cranking out more and more, and I had a lot of content because it was like, oh wow, now I have a different now kind of lane to drive through. So.
Yeah. Well, that's because it was in your heart. See, that's the thing. That was what I was saying earlier. The only reason why you were able to and bring it back in is because it was in your heart. That what you do, what you love to do. You know what I mean? If it wasn't in your heart, you wouldn't have even circled back around or did the research to find resources to get the processes going, and you would just like, oh, whatever, I'm cool. I am really like that. Like I started doing eyelashes over the pandemic. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna. I mean, I was learning, I was getting good, but I'm like, no, that's not for me. I don't even want to continue. There's no point, So it wasn't in my heart. I wanted to do it because it seemed cool. Oh, everybody's doing it. I know I can do it. I'm into beauty, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I got started, I'm like, no, this ain't for me. So I already knew. So yeah, I know, right?
That makes sense. So Amarachi, so we're coming to a close. What is on the horizon for you? So you've been in this space, you've gone through the highs and the lows of it all, right? We're still going, right? as we approach the summer into 2021,
Yes.
what's the next step for you?
The next step for me, well, right now, I'm currently on a show called Thick House, brought by Facebook Watch and Shade Room, which is airing for the next few weeks. So that is something that I'm finishing up. Also getting back into stand-up comedy. I have some shows coming up, July, and just all types of creative stuff. I have my new music coming out, my new makeup brushes coming out. Look, I'm all over the place. Like, and all of it is in the creative space. So nobody can tell me, oh, you're a jack of all trades. No, I'm a jack of many trades because I got many talents that the God gave me. He says, sow your seed in the morning because you don't know which one is going to germinate. So we just have to be diligent. So,
Right.
yeah, I have lots of stuff coming up, and anybody want to check it out, go ahead, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, host_Amarachi. But yes, my podcast, just continuing being consistent with good content and being productive. That's it.
Perfect.
I know,
Look,
right?
you gotta get me on the podcast. One of the days I gotta be, on the show.
We do. You are going to come on Rachivation, Cody. Yes, we got to get you on a summer episode. Definitely.
Let me know. Let me know. I'm ready. Yeah. Look, guys, I tell everybody, support gets supported. And the cool thing about support is free. All you got to do is follow her, hit her up on Instagram, be like, hey, look, Amarachi, I dig what you do. I think you're amazing. I'm following you. It costs you nothing to follow anybody. Watch the show on Facebook Watch. What's the name of the show again? Thick House?
Thick House. Yes, Thick House. So if you catch this, go back and watch all the old episodes. Amarachi in there modeling. Whoop, whoop. No. Oh, I'm a plus size model too. Yeah, duh. So that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Follow her, support her. Amazing talent. She's got her makeup brush coming out, talking about comedy shows dropping. Her music is coming out. She's a rising phenom right in front of our eyes. And if you want to keep seeing amazing influencers and amazing talent like Amarachi, you got to do two things. Follow me on YouTube at CV_K at the link below, and connect with me on Instagram. I don't know why I keep saying at, but on Instagram at CVMK33. Let me know you dig what we're doing. I appreciate my guests. I appreciate my audience out there. This is where inspiration happens. Until next time, guys. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You like what you saw? Were you entertained? Were you informed? We want to keep seeing amazing content. Subscribe at the link below. YouTube, CV_K. You connect where all podcasts are streaming. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Connect with me. I want to connect with you. Let's enjoy the ride.